We'll wait for people to join. Gotta have my fans in the room, my adoring fans. Here to watch me watch the Grinch and read it, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That's me. Um, During this broadcast, you can submit some stars. Maybe you've never heard of them. I'm one. But you can donate stars, and that goes to helping fill teacher wish lists. Yes, because I've stolen all their supplies as well. That's what I do. All right. Maybe it's time that we have a little social interaction, huh? A little reading of the Grinch and How I Stole Christmas. It's my favorite story in the world. I think it's time that we get right to it. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. Already a snoozer. But the Grinch, that's me, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. I'm not telling. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. Who wrote this? This is rubbish. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all is that he may have had a heart that was 2 sizes too small. You know, other people would say that my heart was average and everybody else is just big, but I'm not here to debate the semantics. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there Christmas Eve hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. Well, and they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop this Christmas from coming, for tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. That's the one thing he hated. The noise. Maybe I'm overreacting. I choose to think that it's Academy Award winning. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. Won't have it. No, not for me. I'm on keto. And then he'd do something he liked. They'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, with their Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing. The more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 50 years I put up with it now. That's a long time. I don't look a day over 30. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? And then he had an idea. I don't get them often. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. They're all the best. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and he chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. Except handsomer. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer was scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop old Grinch? No, he simply said. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. Innovative. I like it. So he called his dog Max. Max! And then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. And then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh. That's all I could afford. And he hitched up old Max, and the Grinch said, "Giddy up, giddy up." And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in the town. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on I already read that. These Who's put double pages in my book trying to mess me up. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without a care. When he came to his first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. Old? Need to have a talk with Mr. Seuss. And then he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. Wait a minute. Must be a typo. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. Those stockings, he grinned, are the first thing to go. And then he slithered and he slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. Looks like they got the stimulus check. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimbley. That's not a word. I'm smarter. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding and he took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. I don't do much with glee, I'll be honest with you. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and then he started to shove. Then he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who. Little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. I tell you, this thing pulls at the heartstrings. She's like 35 now. The Grinch had been caught by his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Bleeding hearts of the world unite." But you know that old Grinch, he was smart and so slick. Whew. Look at that. Sounds like I wrote it myself. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's light on this tree and it won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. I'm smarter. Then he patted her head, and then he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went up the chimney and stuffed the tree up. I win. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself, the old liar. And on the walls he left nothing but a hook and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing at the other houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other mouses. Other mouses? Sounds like they got an infestation problem down there. Well, they should get it checked out. It was 1/4 dawn. All the who's still in bed. All the who's still a snooze. And then he packed up his sled. He packed it up with their presents, the ribbons and the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings and the trappings. 3,000 feet up to the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the whoos, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that there's no Christmas coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. And then it fell down the side of the mountain, and that's the end of the story. The Who suffered, and it was terrible, and everybody cried, and the Grinch won. I suppose there's more to the story. I'll read it. Fine. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch took his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, and then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages or boxes or bags. Oh, turns out UPS was just slow. That's what happened. End of the story. No, there's more. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something that he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. You know, this is just a story. It's in the fiction section, children. I mean, really. Could possibly be. Oh, man. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. That's a rumor. Nobody measured it. 2.5. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and food for the feast. But he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And he ate it all, and Christmas was ruined a second time. I win. I'm smarter. I love that story. You can read this story too. Read to your children at night. But teachers can read to their children as well. If you buy it for them, all you have to do is donate some stars. It'll fill your heart 4 sizes, which is 1 size more than mine. And you can be giving the gift of supplies to the classroom, and it'll make everyone feel warm and fuzzy this holiday season. So go ahead and share and give them all a reason. Oh, I'm rhyming, you know, maybe this whole Christmas thing is growing on me. Maybe. Maybe I'll give some present to some children or something. I don't know. Why don't we cut the video and we'll just end it there. So, okay, good. I'm going to steal all their presents. I'm just letting you know. I have no plan to give them anything. The only reason I did this was my parole officer made me do it as community service. It's absolutely ridiculous. I would never do it. It's still on. Okay, you're fired. You're fired.